Hi guys, just pulling some light up here and checking to see if actually I'm going live. It is still early morning hours here in Iowa. Let me see if I can crack a little bit more light with the windows. It's clouded, it's overcast today, so not a lot of light coming in through my windows, but I've added another little desk lamp here. So yesterday evening, uh, I was, oh dear, just checking to see if we got chat going here. YouTube, and my channel. Yep, it's there. So I've got you on my phone so I can watch the chat there. Set that up. All right. So yesterday I was talking about dies and organization and stuff, because I've been organizing upstairs and getting things together. I have a little cart and it's shorter than a Razcog. I have my big die cut machine on the Razcog downstairs where I turn the top layer upside down, and what I have is the big Sizzix die cut machine, so that I can cut those great big dies that are, I don't know, 14 inches. They take the extended platform to run them through. So anyway, I wanted to show you. I have upstairs, I have things like my dies like this organized this way. And this is just one of those, I don't know, fridge bins or something. It's got, this one actually has the cutout in the front so you can pull things out this direction. I thought when I had them on a shelf, this would be handy because then I could reach up and pull them out. But I really like being able to organize this way and just flip through. Now, one of the things that you may not know is how I organize some of these dies. This particular container is mostly Sizzix dies, and there are dies from Sizzix from multiple designers. So in the front, I have Eileen Hull die, which are mostly for journal making or card making that have, this is like the flips for waterfall. And this one is a Tim Holtz one, which has the little pocket slip things. So, I mean, if you like doing journaling and that sort of thing, it's good to organize your die together, like this, things that I'm going to put into a journal. I've got right here at the front. So little pieces that are going to be cut out. Let me pull this one out to use while we're at it. Then behind that I've got, and if you'll notice, all of the, I need to turn this one around, all of the Tim Holtz dies, he's one of the designers for Sizzix, have his color mark on the top. So this is a good clue for you when you're organizing. You can, I'm going to tear, when you get them, they have this insert. I'm going to tear this bottom piece off because this is just not anything that you're going to need. What you do need to keep is this information because it tells you about the sandwich that you're going to use. It also has the image and it has what type of die it is. This is a colorized die, and I actually have it in the wrong place. So I want to move it with my other colorized dies. You may ask, what is a colorized die? Well, it comes with all these different components. This is a coffee cup, yes, but it comes with all these different pieces for layering so that you don't have to color with a pen or anything like that. So you can cut all of these in paper and layer them up. And that's what they mean when they say a colorized die. Now, I know this is pretty basic for a lot of you, but I'm seeming to get a lot of people asking questions that are following that haven't been here for a while. Hi, Laura. How are you this morning? So I'm going to add this to my colorized dies. Now, if you look in here, you're going to see, and these are some that I need to adjust, an assortment of different dies. These are letter dies, letter and number, and all of Tim Holtz dies here have either brown or black at the top. So I can look at this section and I can know if I'm looking for a Tim Holtz die, it's in here because it's got this black swatch at the top. And then his older ones, you know, his colors to start with were brown. So his older die are going to be towards the back here, and they are going to have the brown swatch at the top. So you can see the difference between older die and newer die. So let me pull one of those out, just get a couple of florals, and we'll work with those. Okay, then behind that, I have some of my other favorites, like this one from Gina K. I keep that in the same sort of folder. You can get these from your craft store or from Sizzix or online. Now, you'll notice that some of these at the back, go shopping in the rain. Yeah, it's going to rain here too. Some of these are a little bit taller, and so I've placed them towards the back, but this also is a Sizzix folder. And the ones from Sizzix that are not Tim Holtz design actually come in a different size package. So it's a little bit taller, same width, but it's a little bit taller. But you can see these are Thinlit dies from Sizzix, and it says Sizzix at the top, and it will tell you who the designer is. You know, these are all Sizzix, but they're a different folder. These folders come with a fold in on the side here. Tim's are folding from the top. So just be aware that if you're ordering these folders, that they have two different kinds. Okay. So let me get this out of here and let's work on something. I was talking with some friends in a video yesterday, and one of them was new to die cut and that sort of thing. So I told her I would do a video this morning doing some of this sort of thing. Now, some of these are very, very useful to have done up ahead of time. And I've shown you my trays that have all kinds of things in them. These are just plastic trays. And you can see I have a lot of different die cut in here already. And they're just fun to have ready to roll. And then you can make your little clusters or snippets or whatever you're doing using these pieces. And I do like to use book text. I've got a whole bunch of different cardstock and that sort of thing, and we'll talk about that. I can use some of these papers that I've got paint on, and I can mount some of those on some of these tags. So these are kind of ready to go. So if I wanted to make a grouping, I could just take, say, one of these inventory tags and get here's a picture frame die and a little floral. So you can see how easily you can pull from these pre-cut pieces and do a little mini collage type thing. Okay. So let me get this out of the way. What I have done for my ease of use is because I use the Vagabond upstairs here, is I have my 2 carts, and I've shown my carts in previous videos. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to pull my second cart over here. I've got my Vagabond out, but I want to grab some tools. Now, those dies I was showing you, these are thinlet dies. And the other type of dies that you can get are these steel rule die. And I really like these, especially if you're cutting thicker material or multiples. Like this one has a lot of those little tags and things on it. And it's thicker, so I can cut multiple layers or heavier cardstock. And so this one happens to be tiny tabs and tags. This one is for ATCs and corners. And so if I want to cut heavier card or cardboard or something like that, I can use this to cut that very easily without having to drag out my X-Acto knife and all of that sort of stuff. So, and then the other important parts are your cutting mats. And for my Vagabond, it came with these. Let's see, did not come with all of these. So let's talk about, let me get these out of the way. I've had multiple machines. I actually had one break because we were trying something we shouldn't have been doing in it. So I've got multiple plates for my Vagabond. And they came out 2 different ways. The original one, I'll show you that. The original one came out like this, and it had clips on the side where when you're using these extra sheets on here, depending on what you're cutting, you would clip them into the base plate. And this would tell you on your base plate how to layer up depending on what you were going to cut. So if I wanted to use this for these different products that they came out with, and I do have a lot of these older things like these embosslets and things. I don't even know if you can get those anymore. You might be able to find them on eBay. But I had some of those for jewelry making because I was embossing metal and that sort of thing. But I haven't looked at them in years because I had about all I needed, and I wasn't going to need to get any more because I kind of fell off of the jewelry making bandwagon there for a while. So these just clip in and you layer up this way. They also have this thin die adapter. So if you're doing very thin, intricate things, you can get this adapter. From another company, oh no, this is a crease pad. So if you're doing dies that have crease lines in them, I don't know if I have any of those up here. It will say on the outside of the package that it's a crease line die. And you'll want to use a pad like this because what this does is it absorbs the pressure as it goes through, and it does not cut through where those crease lines are. Where if you're using a standard regular pad, it may cut those crease lines. So you need one of these if you're doing that type of cutting. And then this is what they came out with the Vagabond 2. You see this says Vagabond 2 on it. So this was Vagabond 1. This is Vagabond 2. They're interchangeable, but yeah, just know that I broke my Vagabond 1. You can break these machines if you're trying things that you should not be doing. So be aware that if something is not going through, stop, back it out. So let's see, we were going to cut something from one of these larger ones. So when I am using thin die, I need to use these. So let me, okay, hold on here a minute. I'm going to mute you for just a second so I can talk to my husband. Hi, Nell. How are you this morning? So let's take some of this. This is just some tag board. You can buy big packs of tag board from who is it? Dick Blick. And I can cut because this is a thicker die. I don't need my base plate, but I can take, a number of different surfaces here, stack them up. And this is going to go through, let's see, that's not quite big enough to cut that way. Let me get a larger piece of paper here. Tag board is fun to use. It's kind of like the stuff that they have in those journals from Dina Wakley. Yeah, Dina Wakley. So let me grab a handful of these because these are cut to 6 inches and they're going to go through here. So you can see my well-loved plates. They're bowed, they're everything, right? When they get bowed, I like to flip them over. With the thick die, you do not need additional carrier, these other plates, but you do need 2 of these cutting plates. So I'm just going to put that in. Make sure that my vagabond is heading the right direction. Hit the button. Feed my sandwich through. One pass, and you can see that it did not get all the way through to the bottom layer. Now, if you want it to go all the way through and you've got multiple layers like this, sometimes you may need to run this more than once because you can see the impression. Maybe you can see the impression. And it cut a little bit, but it did not cut all the way through. These layers, however, you can see that they did cut. And I have, let's see, there's 2, 3 layers here. And so I can cut a lot of these small pieces for my journaling. There's another one of those that's 4 layers. So it easily cut through 4 layers just with one pass, which is something I like, because then I don't have to spend all my time running stuff back and forth through a machine. So I'm going to flex this to get them loose. And I'll pop out. The bottom one, of course, is going to be more difficult, but you can see with one pass through the machine how many little, and we pay a lot for those little packages of tags and things. I don't know what one of these die go for now, but it's an investment, yes, but you're going to use it over and over and over again. And that's when you're buying die, you want to think about what ones do I use multiple times. I use a lot of these reinforcements. Whoops, just dropped that on the floor. I'll pick that up later. Need my garbage can over here. Slide that in. My pretty garbage can that my friend crocheted the outside. I think it's crocheted. It's beautiful. Anyway, so I've got this all cut down. I can use some of this for scraps of things, right? And I'm just going to set this aside because we're going to move on and do something else now. But you can see with one pass all the things that I created. And then these are going to end up going into one of my little containers for using in my journal later. So let me set that aside. Now, when I'm going to cut thin die, like thinlets, framelets, triplets, that sort of thing, I need my thin die adapter. This is the regular platform. So if you're embossing, you don't need this. But if you are doing thin die, which these are thinlets, you're going to need this. So let me set this aside. I'm going to get my plate back on here because in addition to that, you're going to look at your stack, and it's got the adapter, it's got a plate, it's got your die facing upward, it's got your piece of paper and another plate. So I'm going to put this down. I'm going to grab my thinlets. This is a set, it's called 662700 from Tim Holtz. And I like these little floral things for journaling also. So let me pop a few of these out here. Now, if you guys are part of Art Joy Sharing, which is my art Facebook group, and there are links in the description box if you're not, you want to join, you just have to answer a few questions, that sort of thing. I'm going to go over there later today probably, and I will have a Zoom chat where, you know, if people are interested in this sort of thing or just want to get together and chat, or, you know, they can join me there on Zoom and we can have a real face-to-face one-on-one chatty little chat. So I'm flipping these over. You can see on the die itself, there's a little raised lip. And you want to make sure that that's facing up so that it's cutting into the paper. So I don't know how many, does it say how many? What did I do with the folder here? It says this folder contains 7 die, 17. Oh, okay. There's 17 components in this particular grouping, which is really nice. So you're cutting 17 at once when you dump this out. Make sure I've got everything facing up. Like this. And let's do this a little bit narrower so I can show you on the tag board what these turn out like. You want to make sure that nothing is overlapping, because you can ruin your die if it goes through and they're overlapping. So make sure that there's spacing between each one of these. You can tape them down. I don't mess with that. I just make sure that I've got plenty of spacing and that I'm careful when I pick it up and move it around so that I'm not distorting anything. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people tape. I I don't want to take the time to tape. I'm lazy. I'm a lazy crafter. You guys know that about me, right? That I do things the simplest way possible. And I just make sure that I'm not overlapping. So now it looks like this piece of card is going to cover all of those die neatly. So even though this is 6 inches and this paper is not 6 inches, I can still cut it. Now, if you want the most pressure, you're going to put your die along the outside edge. But I'm going to set my cover on here, make my sandwich, and then I'm going to move this over to my machine and cut. Oops. I had something fall out. So that's one pass. I'm going to switch it back. I'm going to pass it through a second time, make sure I get a good cut. So that was 2 passes, forward and back. And now you can see the impression of the paper here. And when I go to lift this, these are going to pop out easily. Even the teeniest, tiniest little pieces here are coming out. And I've got great definition. Couple still sticking. So there you have it. So you can see how neatly that cut. Now these pieces, you might want to even save some of this for a stencil later, because I think that's pretty cool. This is pretty cool. So this could be a stencil. So if you want to do that, and you can cut your stencils out of Yupo or plastic or whatever you want and get a dual purpose out of your die by doing that. So let's just take this little piece here. And that becomes a cute little, it's got the base and the upper. Yeah, stencil, right? So, and sometimes what I'll do with these small ones is I'll just take some extra tape and go around the edge to extend it out so that it acts like a mask area. So what I'm talking about, I don't have the right kind of tape. Well, I've got painter tape here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll take some tape and just take a piece of tape. And you see how this is cut really close to the edge here. So I'll lay a piece of this painter's tape on here. And I can fold that over so that it meets on the back side. Now that it's double thick, it doesn't want to tear. Okay, so I've got my handle. Same thing here. I want to come in and do this. It just makes a great way to, I think I learned this from Julie Fay Fan Bowser. She was doing this to a lot of her stencils so that she didn't have to lay masking tape down every time she used a stencil. So now, you could go all the way around it if you wanted to. You don't have to. Now I've got this for a stencil, and I would do the same thing on the edge of this. But let me show you these. I'm just going to slide these off because these need to be weeded. And you're going to say, well, what's weeding? Okay, we'll get to that. I'm going to set this aside. Okay, go shop, Laura. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. I was talking with Laura just the other day, just this week. It's nice to have crafty friends that you can share things with. Anyway, so as a stencil then, I'm just going to get a piece of this copy paper because we're not going to do a whole lot here. Let me grab some ink. These are those, and this is a handy little tool too. If you don't have one of these, I was making those inks, or not making ink, but I was putting ink into these pads that I bought because I wanted some ink upstairs here that I could use and not spend a bunch of money, right? So I'm going to start with the Twisted Citron. I've got my little ink pad in the back. You guys have seen this before. So I'm just going to ink this up. And because this is not something precious, I'm not going to worry about getting over the edge on this. But I'm going to use this to put my background color down. And that will dry down. And I can put this back into the backer. Yep. Just like that. And you can make a whole page of these at one time. This would be easy to do. And then I'm going to grab a darker green. Yeah. Bumble fingers. Grab a darker green. I think I'm going to use, I don't know, that's peeled paint and shabby shutters. I think I'm going to use shabby shutters. See if it's dark enough. I could use a brown also because this is kind of like the veins and things on here. But one of the things I found is that this is just one of those pot holder silicone things, but it holds this stuff and keeps it from moving around. I can't remember who gave me that tip, but I thought it was a pretty cool tip. So I'm just going to ink up the corner of this. I'm going to move this. See, here's my little leaf. I'm going to move this over on top of that background then, and I can stencil the veins and things. And you can see now, let me show you. I have, where are we? I have a leaf with the veins. And I, of course, can die cut that, because I can do a whole page of these, and then I can come back with my die cut and I can die cut all of those out. So that's kind of a fun thing to have and know about die cutting. Do you guys have any questions about die cutting that I can answer for you here? And remember, come and join Art Joy Sharing. If you want to chat later, we can talk about these things. Now, the other type of thing that you're going to see in the store, which might be a confusion factor for you, is something like this. This is from Spellbinders, and it looks very much like a die, but it is different. And what it is to use with your glimmer stuff, with your foil embossing. So these you heat up They're not a cutting, this is not a cutting edge. This is a heat edge. And what you're doing is you're heating this and then you're putting this on your foil and it's transferring the foil. This one is the die that goes with it. So you see in your kit, you transfer the foil and then you die cut. So if you have a heat laminator or something that you can use these on, this is kind of handy too. And I'll try to go over that more later, but we're not going to touch on that right now. But it's kind of fun to have those things in your stash too. So keep an eye out for those. This is from Spellbinders, and it's called Glimmer Plate. So, and this is what it does. It applies the foiling on your surface. Okay, so I wasn't prepared for this. I need my weeding tools. And let me see where they are, if I've got any out there. Oh, didn't put that back in the box. Helps if I put things away. Then they're easier to find later. And I'm so organized up here. I want to keep it that way. You know, I want to put things back where they go. So, but you can take some of these die that are already have cut out, and you can cut them in colors. You can cut them like this. You know, there's a leaf that came out of that same design. I do need a weeding tool. Let me see. Well, I've got this is the awl that I use for book binding. It's tapered. So you see it's bigger at this end than that end. And the reason I do this one for book binding is because sometimes you're going through multiple layers that are very heavy and you can break just those little needle tools. So you can find these at your sewing store, but you're going to need some kind of pick to get these little bitty parts out of these, because they kind of stick in there a little bit. But you can see once you start poking them out, they'll pop up on the edge, and you can usually get a tool right in underneath there and pull that up and get your little teeny tiny piece. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to have all the different tools. I've got lots of different tools, you know, because when I first started all of this stuff, I thought you had to have it all, right? And sometimes you can do things for multiple jobs. So I've got stuff downstairs and I've got stuff upstairs. And because I was doing more journaling upstairs, I brought my journal tools, you know, for binding books and things up here. And a lot of the other die cut, because I can't bring all my die cuts up here because those big ones, like I said, are really big. They're about, I don't know, 13, 15 inches long, and they're the thick die. And so I need a storage space in the basement for that because I don't have the space for that up here. So, but when you weed these out, you can see the fine detail on this. Yeah, some are really small, but some of my journals are very small too, remember? Make sure that you get all of those little pieces out of these, because what happens is when you go back to cut again, if you have not weeded all of those things out, they will hamper your cut. So you can see most of these have fallen out, but there are a few little cling-on pieces that I need to come back and clean out before I would cut with this again. and just make sure that it's clean for the next cut. So my little journals, you've seen my little teeny tiny journals, right? Let me grab a couple of those. Here's a couple of real small journals. They are, let's see, this one is about 3 inches. This one also is about 3 inches. So in here, you know, I've got pockets and I've got all this sort of stuff. So these little tags, you can come back and use these small embellishments on, and they're just the right size for this. You know, they're really great for something this small. So for teeny tiny journals, and then also cards. They're great for cards. They're great for embellishments on tags and things. So remember, we were cutting these little tags earlier, right? So if I want to embellish a little tag like this, I can take these components and I can embellish my tags. And then this becomes something that can slide into one of those pockets. So there are lots of things that you can do with all of these little bitty components. I know some people think, oh, what am I going to do with something that small? Well, now you see there are lots of things that can be done. So push these off to the side. And I'm going to show you something else here. If you get these, make sure you put the top back on them because these are a dangerous tool and you can hurt yourself. Hi, Minka. Good morning. So, yeah, do this. And then, like this stem, I can grab some color here. And you can do this on white, you can do it on colors, you can do it on whatever you want to do it on. I'm going to grab some peacock feather, which is a little bit darker than the color here, and just get a little bit of that on the edge of my tool. And I can go around my die and alter it with some of that. I can spritz that with some water, but I want to add some more color before I do that. So let me put the lid back on the peacock feather. Actually, I'm kind of liking, I get some of that color off. Kind of liking that mottled look there in the middle. So I think I'm just going to dab that a little bit. I like that. Okay, so then I want the stem and leaves to be a different color. So I'm going to grab that Shabby Shutters again and just get some of that on here. And you can vary the color. Does not have to be solid. That was Shabby Shutter, and let's lighten that up just a little bit with that Twisted Citron too. Why not? So Minka, if you're around later, I'm gonna jump on Art Joyous Sharing and offer a Zoom up. So maybe you can join us in the Zoom. And you know, you can add a little bit of this up in here too, just to brighten. Okay, so now I've got this one colorized, right? It started out like these, where it was just plain card in a color. And now I've put some other colors on here. And I could add, got this out. I may as well add some color to that leaf so that you can see that. And what I would do then is just take my handy dandy glue, you know, because I've got that little tiny tip glue. And I've got my leaf. Oops. And I can take my ribs and just put a little tiny bit of glue on here. Add that to my leaf. So I've got a leaf and I've got the ribs. And I can also add this little bitty flower. And let's get this one in there too, if we can. There's still some glue there, so I can glue that down. So then that becomes an embellishment for a tag or something. Actually, this would be cute down here in the corner, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be cute in the corner? And you can put some words or something on there. Paper cut out the size that they are. I'm not sure what you're talking about now. Are you talking about my big pieces? I cut these down to 6 inches or less just because that's what goes. You can't have any wider than 6 inches to go through this particular machine. So if that's what you're talking about, that's why these are cut. But no, you don't have to. You don't have to cut anything. You can just tear a hunk and, you know, take a piece of paper. I can just take a piece of paper like this and I can cut whatever I want. You know, if I want to cut a folder, I can take the die for that out of here. Of course, I tore this down a little bit small for a folder, so let's pick something else. Try not to get all this mixed up. So let me cut this one. This is kind of like a folder. So then it's the same sandwich. You know, we've got the 2 plates, wherever I put them. Got the 2 plates and the base plate. And the thin die adapter. Gonna put that face up. Gonna add, you know, the piece of paper that we just tore because it's gonna fit over that. Put that on there. And gonna feed that through my machine. One quick pass. Let's cut it out. And it's kind of a 2-for-1 because I got this little piece, so this can layer up on something else too. So here's a little piece like that. This can go around the edge. You see how you can keep playing with these things. And where's the folder I took this out of? Oh, fell on the floor. That was that loud bang. So I'm going to put that back in there so it doesn't get lost from the dies that I'm using here. Keep them in their folder. And so then this one is one of those that you can fold up and make a window. This is cool. So then I could take some clear material and put behind here and make a window and then tuck something in behind. So if I wanted to put a little flower or something behind that, you know, you can do that. So let me show you what I was going to do here. Embossing folders, different sizes. Well, yeah, but they're still like if you're using like one of these embossing folders, is that what you're talking about? If you're using, and I package these up the same way. I keep the front piece so that I know what it is. These are I'm still working on. And I do have the smaller plate. So let's drag that out. So if I'm embossing this multi-platform, if you have one of these, you're going to flip it back here, and it's going to tell you the reason you keep this is because it tells you you only need one plate with these 3D embossers. So you don't want to run anything more than that through here. So you need the, let's see, got a mess on my desk now. It tells you right here, you need a cutting pad, the material, your embossing texture, and then on a multi-purpose platform, you use tab 1. So you see we've got tab 2, tab 1. So there's tab 1. So you're going to use this one, and then my paper, you know, you don't have to use the whole folder if you don't want to. If you only want to put that texture on this portion of this, you know, I can run this through here. If I want a bigger piece, I can put that in there. But it's up to you how much you put on this embossing folder. So I can put this on here. And here's my plate. Here's a cutting plate for the smaller one. Get these big ones out of the way. And I feed this end through the machine first, just so I don't damage it. And then we're going to get our layer. Okay, so that's a 3D embossing folder. So I'm pulling this out, and you can see the texture that put on here. So if I wanted to take ink, let's just I got a white ink pad here, picket fence, right? I can just take that and lightly rub over that texture. You see what you get. That's pretty cool, right? That one is what? It's almost like a linen. You know, and then these can be used as die cut tags and things too, or components behind, if I wanted to, take this then and layer it. So you've got more layers, right? More layers and more layers. So this piece that we were colorizing, now I want to show you, I've got Versamark and I've got one of these Distress ink daubers. I like these Distress ink daubers for small things rather than using the big Versamark because I can apply this where I want it. Let me get some of this other stuff out of the way. Got things everywhere because we've done quite a bit here this morning already, haven't we? All right, so put that aside. This little dauber, it has a release in here. There's a little valve, and so you have to push down to release the ink to get it to flow down to the cap. Thanks, Nell. And that's, yeah, this is a 3D embossing folder. We also have regular embossing folders, but you can see it's starting to flow here now. And I love my embossing folders. They're the bomb. So now I'm just going to apply some of this ink onto my die cut. And this is going to look so cool when I get done here. I've got tweezers somewhere here. The ones I like the best for this are those ones that close themselves. I'm trying to remember where I put those. I'm still getting acclimated to my space up here. And I don't know exactly where everything is. And I'm talking about this kind of tweezer where it closes on itself so that it locks in place. Regular tweezers you have to hold down. But this, if I do this, I can pick this piece up with my tweezer and it's going to stay locked in place. So now I have some vintage beeswax. You know that I repped for, oh dear, who's the company? They don't even have it on here. It's a company out of Canada. I'm having brain loss this morning. It is Emerald Creek. Yeah, Emerald Creek makes Seth After beeswax. And I transfer that into a container so that I can use it. And I put these little clips, I found these little clips in the discount aisle. I think Jennifer McGuire uses these, and these little spoons you can buy on Amazon. So you can just clip these in. So if you're pouring, but I can take this and dip it in. I'm waiting too long here. This stuff is absorbing into the paper. Dip it in here. Put my lid back on so I'm not blowing this stuff around everywhere. And these little containers I found at the Dollar Tree. They've got the clip on top so you're not going to be spilling embossing everywhere. So let me get this. And this tool I found, I have several of them. This is the Wagner tool, and it's got two different speeds. It's got a low and a high. And the high is more diffused than the high on those other, I've got downstairs, I've got one from years ago. I can't remember who the company is, but it really focuses the heat and really blows and blows. But this one heats really well and it doesn't blow quite as hard. So let me turn this on. See, this is low. So this works on the low and a high. So that gets really hot. And so I'm just going to emboss. And I might actually need to do this twice because I was yakking. So let me hit that with I just need a sticky ink to put on here. But I want that glossy. I want it pretty and glossy. So ink that. Dip it into my beeswax. I'm working on some stuff that's a little antique-y, so I thought the beeswax would be a pretty addition. You can use clear, you can use color, you can use whatever you have. You know, you don't have to put the ink on. You can just use the color in the embossing powder if you want to. And once the embossing powder is there, you don't have to worry about it because it's there. Yeah, they do come in handy for extra hands. Absolutely. Okay, so turn this on again. It just takes a second. And now we've got this really cute embossed flower that can be used as a component on our art, right? So we've done a number of different things here this morning. Like I said, come over and join me if you're interested in, playing around some more. What did I do with that other one? Thought I had it out here. Anyway, we've got lots of little pieces to play with here. And you can see how you can make your stencils, do your embossing, make your components. I lost track of one of them. There's our other little stencil, our die cuts, and yeah, that's about it for my Snippet Sunday. Hope you guys got some information that's useful for you. If you do like this kind of content, please like, share, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff so that others can find me on YouTube. I appreciate you and have a great Sunday. Bye, guys.